Alright folks, so I just want to do a quick video talking about the top 5 reasons you should get a ham operator radio license. But before I do, why don't you go grab yourself a nice cold one, come on back, and we'll get started. Alright, well the reason I'm doing this video is I often get asked the question around, hey, should I get my ham radio license? Or how difficult is it to get a ham operator license? And I get asked this question by people who are maybe wanting to learn about communications, get in the radio. Maybe they've tried CB and they want to kind of try something different, something that's a little bit more able to be modified or have some different capabilities to it. And I also get asked this question by people who are getting into prepping and emergency communications. A lot of these folks will go out and they'll buy radios, they'll buy cheaper Chinese radios, and they'll put them in their stock or their inventory, maybe tinker around with them, play with them a little bit. But they really haven't gone on and gotten their ham radio license, and they really haven't developed a rounded skill set around ham radio. Not that I've got the most expert level rounded skill set. I'm not an expert in ham radio. I'm just a ham radio enthusiast. I like to play around with communications, not just ham radio, but all kinds of radio. So anyhow, when people ask me these questions, the way I answer it is I tell them, first off, hey, it's illegal to transmit on ham frequencies without your ham operator license. And I don't advocate breaking the law, and it's not something that you want to do. And people often come back to me and say, well, hey, Ape, in an emergency, I'm allowed to communicate because it's an emergency and it's life or death. And while that's true, you probably don't know the protocols for communications. Maybe your equipment's not fully tested out. If you've never really tried to communicate with different types of people in different types of environments, your stuff's not really tested. You're not really tested. So it's a good idea to get your license and practice a little bit and build that skill set and build that knowledge. The second reason I always tell people is you really learn how your equipment works. You'll learn how to troubleshoot, and you'll learn how to build or repair equipment. I've built a solar generator so I can power my radios off grid. I've worked on different types of antennas, built ham station, stuff like that. And I kind of learned how my equipment works. Again, I'm not an expert on every function and every way to use all of my equipment, but I'm slowly learning and gaining and building a rounded skill set that'll help me out one day. And if it doesn't, it's kind of a worthwhile hobby, and I've met some great people as part of the hobby. The third thing, and we touched on this a little bit, is really you'll learn the correct way to communicate via ham. I don't do any CW, maybe one day, but there are certain protocols when you join things like nets. And in my area, I'm really fortunate that we have a lot of 2 meter and 70 centimeter repeaters, especially on the 2 meter side. And I get to participate in these different nets, and they'll do different practice things like passing messages. They call it traffic, passing traffic. You learn how to give your call sign, how to break in. It all seems kind of silly and kind of easy, but the more you do it, the more natural it becomes, and the better communicator you are via ham. I can tell you right now, if you jump on a ham repeater and you start jibber jabbering and you're talking crazy and you're not using call signs and you're not following the protocol, people won't respond to you, or they'll respond to you in a very negative way. It's actually illegal for a ham operator to communicate with a non-ham on the radio. So if somebody suspects that you don't have your license, good luck getting anybody to communicate with you. The fourth thing I have is you can practice using and testing your equipment, and then you can join and build a community and communicate with like-minded individuals. Once I started getting into ham, it opened up a whole new world to me where I just really started to talk to people who are like, hey, I'm building a solar-powered Go box, or I'm building a mobile ham station in my car, or some man-portable antenna systems, and it's just a good way to continue to learn your equipment and communicate and participate with people who are like-minded, working towards e-coms and working for a way that they can communicate off-grid or in a disaster or some kind of catastrophic environment. And then the last thing I have is that you can volunteer or join disaster response teams or preparedness groups. And there are a lot of folks who do practice tests, or they'll do simulations. When you join up with these guys, you just continue to grow and build your skill set. It's an exciting hobby, and it has like a real-world application, and I see value and benefit there. And when you join some of these different emergency preparedness groups, you'll likely have similar interest with some of these folks, and you'll just be able to continue to grow and build your community from a prepping standpoint or from a disaster recovery standpoint, if that's what you're into. And if it's not, maybe you're just into electronics and you're into some sort of hobby where you can communicate with people at distance, and ham radio kind of fills that gap. Like I said, it's been very entertaining for me. It's been very interesting, and it's been a very educational journey, and I highly advocate it to anybody. I'll include a link below to the American Radio Relay League. They're the governing body for ham radio licensing, and you can look up local chapters in your area that will administer and proctor these tests. In many cases, it's free. I took my first test for free, but I did give them a $10 donation because it was guys spending their Saturday, just to help me out and benefit me, and I felt that was an appropriate thing to do. But you can go on this website and you can find where these tests are being proctored in your area, and then you can meet up with those guys and get tested, get your license, and then get on your way to being a ham. Anyhow, if you like this video, go ahead and click subscribe if you want to see more content of a similar nature, or go ahead and click the thumbs up button. Thanks everybody for watching. I really appreciate it.